from WWL TV. The spirit of Louisiana. This is Louisiana's news leader. Channel 4's Eyewitness News Night Watch.
Representing the entire staff here at WWL, I'm Bill Elder.
Tonight we mark the passing of a local broadcasting legend, our Channel 4 colleague, Bill Elder.
For nearly 35 years, Bill was a commanding presence in New Orleans TV news, especially as a reporter always in search of that big story.
Good evening, I'm Mike Hoss.
And I'm Karen Swenson. He set the standard for television news, and sadly tonight we're mourning the death of Bill Elder.
Family members say Bill died in his sleep this morning from complications from the radiation treatments he was receiving for brain cancer. He was 65.
Good afternoon. I am Bill Elder. This is the 12 o'clock news for a Tuesday, May the 11th.
For 34 years, Bill Elder transcended television in New Orleans. He delivered the news at noon and 5 o'clock with a hard-nosed edge, but with a distinctive style that warmed hearts and won viewers. For many people, their recollection of TV news is that of Bill Elder. From his beloved catchphrase, "all right," to his trademark sign-off, Bill was one of a kind.
We stop and switch you live and direct to the CBS Evening News.
He was one of the best commentators New Orleans ever had, that's for sure. That's for sure.
I've been watching Bill Elder all my life on Channel 4. This is another part of New Orleans, New Orleans institution that has passed.
Bill won some of the industry's biggest awards, but it wasn't the driving force behind his work. He wanted the story, he wanted the bad guy, and he wanted it first. In 1993, his 31-part series called Facing Reality uncovered political corruption, sex, and drug abuse at a mental health facility owned in part by a state representative.
Imagine, if you will, a hospital that has found a way to get the federal Medicaid program to pay it 3 and sometimes even 4 times what any other hospital would charge, and they get away with it.
Bill was an anchor, but always considered himself a reporter first. He thrived to be in the field, relishing the heat of the moment. In 1979, he resolved a hostage situation at the Superdome, convincing a man into giving up his weapon.
All of the things that have happened to you, we're going to get them corrected. The only way you can do that is to put that knife down, come to me. I'm going to protect you against everybody.
Bill arrived at Channel 4 from Lafayette in 1966 after working for several newspapers. After 3 decades in the business, Bill's hunger for the story was never satisfied, but his appetite for it was clear from the very first day.
You're looking for an issue that is controversial, that draws emotion, that people are interested in, and are going to be glued to the television set when you come on.
Bill wanted stories with emotion, and his last reports covered his own deep feelings as he battled brain cancer. And he did so not in private, but with the people who watched him, loved him, and sometimes disagreed with him. For Bill Elder, there was no question off limits, and that included pressing his own doctor as he discussed his own prognosis.
5 years. So you're telling me 5 years lie ahead of me? That would be a reasonable estimate.
A devoted husband and father, Bill's fervor for life was equal to the effort put into his reports. He touched not only lives, but generations.
Bill Elder died this morning.
Sorry.
Yeah.
My mother's going to be upset. She used to enjoy his telecast, and every now and then we wonder how he's doing. So I'm sorry to hear that news.
From preparing a story to anchoring the news every day, Bill Elder loved television, and television loved him. As we said, Bill's reporting earned him some of the highest honors in broadcasting.
That includes a George Foster Peabody Award for his 1993 series Facing Reality. That series also earned Bill an Edward R. Murrow Award.
Locally, the Press Club of New Orleans gave Bill its Lifetime Achievement Award in 1999. That's one of many awards Bill won from the Press Club and the Associated Press. In 1997, he was inducted into the New Orleans Broadcasting Hall of Fame.
Well, Bill Elder had always promised that he would beat the cancer, and in the end he did. But still, his health problems progressed. As Meg Ferris explores in tonight's Medical Watch, sometimes brain cancer patients have a tough decision to make.
It's the type of cancer that usually takes the lives of its victims who get treatment within a year. For those who don't treat it, life can slip away almost immediately. Bill Elder lived 5 years after he got the news.
Bill had a glioblastoma multiforme, which is the most aggressive form of primary brain tumors.
What causes them?
I wish I knew. I'd get the Nobel Prize and Bill wouldn't have had this happen to him.
Oncologist Dr. Jane Gertler treated Bill. She says while brain cancer is rare, this grade 4 astrocytoma is the most common form of brain tumor in older adults. It shows up when some part of the nervous system has problems, like weakness, mental stroke-like changes, seizures. Bill made the decision to treat the condition. There was surgery to remove the tumor, radiation and chemotherapy. But during surgery, some brain tissue had to be removed from the area that controlled speech. A cruel twist of fate for a man who made his livelihood on delivering the written word.
And that was a big tragedy because Bill loved to be on TV and he loved to do the news and he loved to communicate and be on top of daily events in the news.
Bill needed full brain radiation because this kind of tumor tends to grow satellite tumors all over the brain. And that was the tough decision. While radiation can destroy the tumor, it can also destroy healthy brain tissue.
But he took a toxic toll with those treatments. He had radiation brain damage, which affected his speech further and affected his ability to walk, and eventually he became very weakened. Over the last 2 or 3 months, he was not able to participate in exercises which he enjoyed.
Patients can become like those with Alzheimer's. The radiation damages the blood vessels in the brain, so small strokes rob the brain of oxygen, and little by little, the brain loses function. Bill, in fact, had beaten the cancer, but the treatment slowly stole his memory and function away. This is why at first he could come back on the air. Words he would read on the camera teleprompter sometimes were confusing, but he constantly rehearsed to overcome the effects of the surgery. And another thing, Bill loved to work out. Even as his condition worsened, the last thing he gave up was weightlifting at the gym.
This man and his wife, Carolyn, were so heroic, so dignified. Every time I saw Bill, he was perfectly dressed. He was a perfect gentleman. He would love it when people would come up and tell him that they missed him on TV.
And he had the same tenacity off camera.
He faced his illness and his death with the same heroism, the same selflessness. He was not a person that was going to bring anybody down.
For you, my friends, who have stuck by me and this station all of these years, everything is going to be, as you've heard me say on so many occasions, all right.
Meg Farris, Eyewitness News, Medical Watch.
Over the years, Bill Elder worked alongside some of the industry's most respected journalists. Tonight, one of his friends and admirers pays tribute.
Hello, everybody. This is Dan Rather. One never knows quite what to say at a time like this, but I do want to say goodbye tonight to my WWL TV colleague and friend, Bill Elder. He was a perfectionist and a bulldog. He chased politicians and crooked cops and wayward priests, and when he was on a story, he never gave up. He had high standards and pushed everyone around him to keep up. He was an old-fashioned, fearless, throwback hard news reporter. But perhaps the most courageous story he ever shared with his viewers was his own valiant struggle with cancer. We crossed paths on many stories over the years. He was the kind of journalist we all strive to be. Do we ever miss him?
As word of Bill's death spread among family, friends, and former colleagues, we turn to one of our and Bill's longtime co-workers to reflect on his life and career.
And here's former Channel 4 editorialist Phil Johnson.
What can you say when a legend is lost, when a voice is stilled, when a champion is gone forever? What can you say? What can you do but mourn and weep and in the terrible pain of loss, try to remember. Bill Elder was a part of this station and of the public life of New Orleans for over 30 years. His was a voice that clamored for justice, for truth, for honesty. His camera, a looking glass into men's souls. And he made good use of both, refining his craft over the years, knowing when to push, when to back off. It was a game he played, and he played it well. He was one of the most honored television reporters in America, at ease and at home with the Mike Wallaces and Ed Bradleys, even joining Walter Cronkite as an equal when he won the Peabody Award for his monumental series on corruption in New Orleans. He came here as a young man, using the city as a stop to bigger and better things. But he learned soon enough that his talents and his unique outlook on life made him quite special. He loved covering hurricanes. They were special too. We will miss Bill Elder. He was one of a kind, a good man, a good man.
Funeral services for Bill will be private. In lieu of flowers, his family asked that donations be made to the Louisiana Cancer Consortium at 1615 Poydras Street, Suite 1280, New Orleans 70112. And on our website, WWLTV.com, we've set up a page where you can share your feelings about Bill.
And many of you have, from New Orleans to Canada. Here's how some of you are remembering Bill Elder.